Steve, you're on top form this morning, and I'm grateful to you. And I love that. I hadn't come across...
That was a superb LBC caller, absolutely right about Trump's mental health. Now, this caller's name is Stephen. He worked in this field, and what he had to say just might blow your mind.
I wanted to return back to the mental health thing. I have worked in mental health, but I'm not supremely qualified, and that's not the basis for my calling. Well, I mean, we can look through lenses, and I agree with everything that's been said so far.
Yeah.
The reality show lens, WWE, the mobster lens, the con man lens. But there's a thing in psychiatry and psychology called the Goldman Rule. Or no, sorry, the Goldwater Rule, okay?
Yeah.
It goes back to the 1960s, which sort of makes it official that it's taboo to diagnose someone without being in a clinical setting.
Okay.
However, it is, you can look that up, the Goldwater Rule. Goldwater as in the US politician, funnily enough.
Barry.
But it's been challenged by a succession of professionals. The most notable is, or the one who led the charge on this, is called Bandy Lee, B-E-B-A-N-D-I is her first name.
Okay.
Lee is the surname. And there's a couple of similar professionals called John Gartner and Harry Siegel who do a YouTube show. I know that sounds a bit...
We're going to run out of time with all the name checks. So the Goldwater Rule, in a nutshell, tells us that we shouldn't do what we're about to do, but we're going to.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. Because he's the most filmed person in history. So, you know, dementia. They say he's got narcissistic personality or disorder, which is hardly a contentious thing to sort of say.
No.
But also that he has advancing dementia. Now, his niece is called Mary Trump. You may be aware of her. She's a clinical psychologist.
Right.
And she'll go along with all this. And the examples of what demonstrate the dementia, there's a thing called anemic aphasia, which is this sort of slurring of words and not quite completing words properly, which were more prevalent during the campaign, probably when he was more stressed, especially at night time, because he's also an addict. We have to remember this isn't particularly contentious. There's a guy called Noel Casler who used to work with him on The Apprentice, who testifies that he's an Adderall user, and Adderall is amphetamine. I've used Adderall because I've got ADHD, as you can probably tell by the way I'm talking. Right? So basically, later at night, it's bad, and he used to do all his campaign rallies in the last campaign. He tried to do them earlier. So the main punchline of what I'm trying to say, James, and it's very serious and it's very disturbing, and I don't know what to do about it. The guy is genuinely mad. It's not just colloquially mad. It is the genuinely mad king. And he has dementia. His father had dementia. That's what the weave is all about. That's why he keeps banging on about...
How then... And I guess, and I'm enjoying this conversation, and you're not going to believe this, but someone actually mentioned Brandy Lee in a text about 2 minutes before you came on. So
there you go.
Proof once again of the calibre of my callers, or that we're all singing from a similar hymn sheet. The question then becomes, how does he get away with it?
I think people have been, whether they like him or not, people have been sort of subdued into...
We're losing the phone line. I'll give you a chance, but
okay.
Be warned.
People have been I think people have just become in awe either of how much they like him for various stupid reasons, or because of how they just can't get a grip on how mad he is. It's so colossal. And I think that probably goes back to the reality TV thing. Because, of course, nothing is less real than reality TV. But because he played a business person on TV...
Everyone thinks he is this business genius. And in the great... And I've had a couple of unfortunate experiences on television myself, but in the great annals of things that never should have happened, putting him in that role where he could cast himself as a business genius may have been one of the greatest mistakes in the history of Western democracy. Steve, you're on top form this morning, and I'm grateful to you. And I love that. I hadn't come across the Goldwater Rule before. It explains exactly the misgivings that I have when I say that perhaps we should be talking to doctors and possibly even priests or clerics when it comes to understanding what is going on, because talking to economists and political pundits appears to me to be, and I speak as someone who is sort of one of them, appears to me to be a bit of a waste of time. What do you reckon?
Maybe James is right, and maybe we shouldn't listen to economists and, those within the corridors of power, and maybe listen to those who who are medically trained and can possibly recognise the warning signs that our mango Mussolini is completely made. Also, I have to say, before this call, I'd never actually heard of the Goldwater rule before, but what he did have to say about it, I thought was very, very interesting. And I have to say, since he's babbed his pants and U-turned on these tariffs, shows that our mango Mussolini clearly has no master plan, because if he did have one, he certainly wouldn't have U-turned, would he? But what do you guys think? Let me know down below. Is our mango Mussolini completely mad? And is Steve right? No, not the former DJ. Is Steve absolutely right about the Goldwater rule on this? Comments below. Also, if you enjoy everything, House of Commons and Select Committee meetings, or, anything political, just please like and subscribe, and I shall bid you farewell. And take care, my friends.